Hi, Teresa. We're just giving everybody a few minutes to join.
Recording in progress.
Hi, Bruce. We'll give everybody one more minute and then we'll just start rocking and rolling, and people can feel free to hop in when they're ready. All right, well, we're just going to go ahead and dive right in. And I want to respect everybody's time. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's just kick off with today. My ultimate goal is to show you a 3-step blueprint for getting promoted at any career path, role, or job. And what I find is there's two types of people. Those are waiting for to be tapped on the shoulder, and those that are willing to go out and grab it. And truly, I find anybody on this call of the latter of the two. And I will tell you, this makes a huge difference. So this is for you if you feel like you've plateaued and you don't know how to move to the next level, you're not aligned with your company any longer, and you're looking for something new. You're talented, and you're working really, really hard not to get what you want out of your career. You've been an executive for years, and with all the change, you need new strategies. Let's face it, in the last year, we've had AI, we've had hybrid locations, we've had multiple different things that have come up. And so really there's a lot of people that need new strategies on how to support their teams. And then finally, you're a new executive and you're not entirely sure how to level up your leadership to set you up for that success in your current role and for the future role. Any of those sounds like you're definitely in the right place. And I will tell you who this is not for. Like, people unwilling to do the work, ultimately, this doesn't just happen from a magic bullet. Like, there's actual work that needs to be involved to move to the next level. Someone looking for a silver bullet. There's not just one thing, there's multiple different components that come together in order to create the next level. And finally, those that are unwilling to hear the tough feedback. I'll tell you that if any of my clients, one of the things that they appreciate is we're going to have the tough conversations, and it's in service of them and moving them towards what they truly desire. So today we're going to cover three main things: how everything begins with awareness, how a lack of clarity is hindering your success and what you need to achieve it, and finally, the systems and tools and strategies are key to your growth. So ultimately, my goal is to provide you with a framework to elevate your career. That's at the end, that's the only thing that if you walk away with a framework, 100%, that's it. So a little bit about me. So I'm the youngest of three girls. My mom was an incredible rock star growing up. She was a single parent. And she really, when we were real young, I was 5. She was she started out as a waitress, and she had to go back to school and get her associate degree in order to really create a career for herself so she could support us three. And she really showed us what hard work, determination, responsibility really look like from a career perspective and life, quite frankly. It was a foundational piece for me. My corporate career, I was with the same organization for 16 years, which was a big part of my corporate career. And I built and led teams both onshore and offshore. 11 years into that career with them, I had a team of 1,100 people growing to 1,500 direct and indirect. I had 7 different locations that I was supporting. And I'll tell you, I was at the brink. I was at like the maximum point. I was working so many hours, and it was really hard to maintain the leadership at that level, working with the people that I was working with and ensuring I was showing up as my highest and best. And my organization stopped doing leadership development. They stopped really fostering that development of us. So instead of waiting for someone to give it to me, I went out and found it. I found an executive leadership and coaching 12-month course and signed up and enrolled. Throughout that course, I actually had my own coach throughout that course. And I experienced a loss. I lost my sister 3 months in to being part of it. And when you have that type of loss, it really started shifting my perspective of what's important to me. Who do I want to be? What really do I want to be remembered by in my leadership? And how do I want to show up for my family how my work was designed at the point in time? I was on the road. I was working a gazillion hours. Started changing my perspective, and having the support of a coach really started showing me how you can create something on purpose despite the circumstances that are coming up for you. So I'm a professionally certified coach with the International Coaching Federation. I've been coaching for 10 plus years, and I've been on my own for the last 7.5 years. And I didn't really choose executives as saying, oh, I'm going to work with executives. That's who my niche is going to be. They really chose me because that's who I was already working with in my career. So it was a natural progression for me to continue working with them. And they started coming to me as I started building my coaching practice. Personally speaking, I'm an avid runner. You will see that if you follow me on LinkedIn. And I love to travel. So you'll see those two pieces of the puzzle incorporated. And my family is incredibly important to me. I moved back to Wisconsin so I could be closer to my nephews after my sister passed. And they're definitely like my kiddos. So that's just a little bit about me. So we're just going to dive right in. So where do we begin? It's really focused on 3 core areas: awareness, clarity, and system and tools. And consider that the blue areas in the circle are the what, like the what areas. And then around the circles are the how you actually get to having awareness, clarity, and systems and tools. So that's where we're going to really spend all of our time today. Awareness. So let's start off with the awareness piece, because everything begins with this. This is like the foundational piece. So I'm curious, anybody here think that they have blind spots? If you just want to throw a yes, no, possibly in the chat, that would be fantastic. I will tell you that even it's normal for us, just to normalize it a little bit. And I see that Luis raised her hand and said, yes, me. I might have some blind spots. Thank you. And it's the fact of the matter is we all have them. And then we all have blind spots that exist. And quite frankly, the awareness piece starts with uncovering your blind spots. You're looking right now at 360s I've done over the course of the years. And this is just giving you a small, tiny little sample. But all of these leaders had blind spots. And they didn't know that these were their blind spots. They didn't know that these were the areas that they really needed to grow in order to move to the next area. So not only did we uncover the blind spot, we also uncovered what others' perceptions were, why they chose the way that they did, what areas that specifically we could work on so we could close those up. And in some cases, I will tell you, it was shocking. I had one executive that after we went through his 360, he thought he was doing extremely well. He was an SVP reporting to the CEO of a large organization. And if you looked at his results, it did not match up to what he thought. It was a complete humbling experience to him to learn that these were all of the areas he needed to work on. So what can you do today to start identifying your blind spots? If you look at or read any of the McKinsey's, Deloitte's, Korn Ferry's, any of the big names out there that focus on leadership development and anything else in different topics, it really boils down to 10 different competencies that you really want to focus on. Leadership accountability, high impact communication, team building, talent development, shaping and executing strategy, ethical leadership, adaptability, decision strength, interpersonal skills, self-development, and influence and persuasion. And you can start by just doing a self-assessment right here, like of these areas. If you were to say on 1 to 10 scale, where would you rate yourself in each of these areas? And that would be a starting point to say, are there areas that I actually need to start improving on that I haven't necessarily put time or attention? Because these areas and these competencies aren't necessarily what organizations tell you that they're measuring you on or that they're looking for when they're promoting or looking to hire that next level leader. But I will tell you that these are all areas that are proven that they do focus on. The next piece is we're going to talk about vision. And this quote really hones in and it stays true. An executive without a clear vision is like a ship without a compass. You might move, but you'll never reach your true destination because you don't know what your true destination is. So that's where it all begins, is creating the vision. And the number one mistake that I see people make, and this isn't just executives, this is truly holistically when working with people, they initially think that I need to focus on what I want to do. So their vision is, I want to be senior vice president of operations, or I want to be CEO. And they're naming out a specific job title of their vision. Second mistake is not integrating your personal and your professional life into your vision. We are one human being. As much as we like to compartmentalize everything that we do, you really want to take a holistic approach to creating your vision. What does it look like from the time you wake up in the morning to the time you go to bed? And include your personal and professional life in it. And finally, the third mistake is not having any emotion behind your vision. It's a thing to do, and it's not necessarily a thing you're invested in. Okay, we're gonna keep rocking and rolling. And ultimately with your vision, I truly look at it like starting from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed and creating it based upon the experience that you wanna create, not the thing that you actually wanna do. If you focus on the experiential level of it, all of a sudden there are tons of different opportunities that are going to open up, and you can then start choosing. does this role align with the experience I'm looking to create personally and professionally? Now let's dive into impact. A lot of times we don't distinguish what is the impact that we actually want to make in our career. And so we're so focused on the title, or we're focused on the company, or focused on any of those different pieces of the puzzle. But if you start distinguishing the impact that you want to make, you're clarifying your unique value. You're inspiring and guiding others. You're building credibility. You're creating a legacy, and you're attracting opportunities because people know this is what I stand for. This is the impact that I want to make to our community, to the society, to the organization, to people, to other leaders. And you can really start honing in and build your brand. So how do you distinguish what your impact is? And I go through a series of questions with my clients, and it's really to go through and say, what legacy do you want to leave behind in your leadership? What ways do you hope to influence and inspire those that you lead? I know for me, when I was going through years and years ago, I wanted to create a trickle effect. And this is one of my big whys and the impact I want to make, and why I work with the executives that I do today is truly so it creates a trickle effect throughout every single life that they touch. And that's my why. So I'm not just changing one person's life, I'm changing lives of multiple people throughout the process. What are your core values and principles guiding your decisions and actions as a leader? What are your goals that align to the impact you want to create? And these are just some questions to start pondering so you're able to really dive in and say, this is who I want to be, and this is the impact I want to make. So we'll take one of my clients, Juan. Oh, I'm going to pause, and Luis has a question. Go ahead, Luis.
Yeah, hi, Michelle. Well, first, mention that the chat is disabled, so if you're not seeing it, that is why. But second, I just had a question back on the last slide and maybe you'll get to it in this other one. As we, try to think about our legacy and where we're at, if we're in a different stage of our career than others, should we be thinking about this ultimately what we want it to be, or only what we can kind of control in the current position we're in?
I look long term. Don't limit yourself to just where you are today, because you can start taking action towards that impact that you want to make long term. So, and there's a way to integrate both where you are today with the impact that you want to make and the future. So you can actually play in both places.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks.
You're welcome. And thank you for letting me know that the chat was disabled. Yeah, go ahead if you have questions, raise your hand, and absolutely please feel free. I want to make this as interactive as possible. So I'll give you a quick success story. So Juan came to me. He's a senior investment executive and very high up as it is in his field. And ultimately, he was looking to move either, do I want to go up to that very next level? Do I want to become a partner? Or do I want to go out and say, I want to start my own thing? And the next piece is he wasn't receiving any feedback. He had no feedback to even give him baseline. So no matter what he chose or where he wanted to go, he didn't know where he needed to grow with his executive presence. And on top of that, he was a bit newer to the organization he had joined, and he didn't know how to intentionally go out and create relationships with the C-suite executive. It was a very different firm than he was used to and that he had worked in years and years previously. So he needed some guidance in order to really intentionally start building relationships. And in working together, he secured multiple interviews and offers. And quite frankly, he's still at the point where he hasn't gotten everything that he wants that aligns to what his vision is, both personally and professionally. So he hasn't said yes to anything, and he's still in the process of getting multiple traction. He's also upgraded his executive presence. He has relationships with everybody in the C-suite, the CEO, throughout the organization. And we really focused on his ability to create and drive organizational strategy, to his decision strength, both on the business and the people, and how to balance those two things out. And then work-life integration. He thought he had a great life before we started working together, and he has said that truly he's living his best life now, and his wife attests to that, and his ability to now really prioritize himself and the family, so important. Okay, moving in next realm. So we move into clarity. Okay, your purpose. Your purpose is your strategic asset that can enhance your chances of achieving higher level positions. And I will give you an example. One of my clients, we distinguished his purpose as being a builder. And so he knew that if going in, whether he's working for an organization, whether he's CEO for himself, he distinguished that he's a builder. So whether he, in any of those scenarios, he wanted to be able to build teams, build legacy, build clients, build everything surrounded himself. And that was both in work and outside of work. And when he recognized that and he could distinguish it, he is able to now really say yes or no to what activities he does or doesn't do. So not only that, it leads to higher fulfillment. So when you have your purpose and you're taking actions and working for an organization that align to your purpose, you have greater fulfillment. You have increased resilience and engagements, in fact, 6.5 times more. So it's a huge amount when you can align your purpose into what you're doing. And finally, better decision and leadership. And truly, when you're thinking about what your decision-making skills are and your leadership ability, you're able to align your organization values to your values, to what you're doing. It truly creates a sense of not only alignment, but there's a cohesiveness between the two. So how do you do it? Because I'm not going to leave you out here alone, not figuring out how to do it. So just start off, and this is a really shortened down version of what I do with my clients, but I want to give you a piece to play with. List out your 2 unique personal qualities, and then list 1 or 2 ways you enjoy expressing those qualities in interacting with others. And finally, then assume the world is perfect. What does that look like? And then put it all together in one statement. So you can then define what you do. Okay, we're going to dive into personal brand. Your brand, this is one of the massive gaps that I see within my clients when they come and start working with me, is they don't have a distinguished personal brand. And without having a brand, somebody's not able to see what it is this is what I'm promising to an organization. This is what I can deliver. This is what you can expect of me. And this is what really differentiates me from everybody else out there. And if you think about as the world sits today, this is a key piece of really putting yourself out there and making yourself different. If you think about the amount of openings that there are today versus 5 years ago, it's very different for executives today. And so personal branding really takes a big highlight to ensure that you're set up. It provides you the visibility and recognition, differentiates you from other people. We're showcasing your values, your strengths, your professional. It gains credibility and trust. Also, alignment with organizational goals. When your personal brand align, you're able to leverage your personal brand to also achieve organizational goals. It's like a win-win, both for the organization and for you. And finally, networking and influence. When people start recognizing who you are, what your promise is, all of a sudden you start creating a very different network of individuals, and the influence that you have, not only for the people that you want to attract for new opportunities, but also for creating your legacy. So you can think about it in the 2 part. Like I said before, there are multiple different components that all fold into your brand, your values, your personal style, what others say about you. And we do leverage, when I'm working with clients, the 360 to really gain insight into what people say about you in particular, so we can see what aligns, what doesn't align, what you do, how you do it uniquely, and there's additional information. But this starts giving you some components to consider when you're crafting your personal brand. All right, so who here has limiting beliefs? And Luis, thank you. And let me just normalize, this is another piece where, guess what? It's normal. I mean, people are scared of being judged, criticized by others, putting themselves out there and not getting anything in return, failing, not believing you can, and not believing that you can have it all. The career you love, the money, and a personal life. You feel like you're going to have to sacrifice one, but you can. It's just about intentionally creating it. And I just want to break down the limiting beliefs just a bit more. So there's a book, Psycho-Cybernetics, and it is one of my favorite books. And this is one of the key pieces that really dives into. So only 5 to 10% of what we think on a daily basis or do is conscious. That's our conscious mind that is working. And that's like your direct focus, your imagination. 50 to 60% of your mind is your subconscious. Your subconscious is based upon your memories, your past experiences. So if you had a really crappy boss, for lack of a better way to say it, that's going to fold in. That's going to be in your subconscious. Or if you received negative feedback from somebody, that also is going to be in your subconscious. So all of those different pieces need to be worked with so you can recreate the story and let go of those pieces. Then finally, the 30 to 40% is your unconscious. This is the place we store all the stuff we don't want to recall, but we don't have a choice. In our subconscious, we have a choice. In our unconscious, we don't. So there's memories from places that we're like 3, 4, 5 years old, and we think that we forget those. We don't. It's layered in there. It's like having an external storage for a computer. It's still there. It just doesn't always necessarily connect to us, but it's there. And one of the biggest pieces here is the things we say inform our subconscious. So if you have any type of negative self-talk, if you have any type of unconsciously self-sabotaging ways that you speak, whether it's like, I'll probably do that, or I might do that, all of those pieces, they will inform it. And they'll keep informing how you move forward. So how do you gain confidence? It all starts with first of all, practice self-compassion. We are really hard on ourselves as human beings. And you don't need to be. Give yourself grace. I mean, you're going to fail. You're going to fall, and then you pick yourself back up. It's not about the back end. It's about how you move forward. Learn and improve skills. Be intentional about learning and developing and honing in on your skill set. Visualize success. This goes back to your vision, and pay attention to that piece of it. Step outside your comfort zone. Everything that is comfortable for us, like that sits inside of our comfort zone. Where everything is uncomfortable is where all of your possibility to create what you really want lives. Surround yourself by positive influences. Focus on your strengths. A lot of times we focus so heavily on things we don't have, and we don't focus on the things we do have. And so really be clear on what your strengths are. Keep a journal of successes. So if you're having a bad day, go back to the successes. That's who you are at your highest and best. Set and achieve small goals. If you're trying to lift a 10-pound weight and you've never lifted, or you're trying to lift a 100-pound weight, but you've never lifted a 10-pound weight, it is going to be really, really difficult for you to actually hit that 100-pound weight without hurting yourself. Create your team. And I use the word team in quotes because this is all about you. Who is on your side? Who wants you to succeed? Who are the people that are your advocates and who will give you that pump up that you need? And finally, pay attention to what you say. What you say, what you think, what you say to yourself, what you say to others, all of those different pieces of the puzzle create confidence. All right, we're diving into the last section here, systems and tools. 45% of executives are not intentional with the actions they take to progress their careers. Ultimately, what I find, executives are really honed in on taking care of other people. There's typically a reason that they've gone into a leadership role. They serve. Part of leadership is a servant leadership mindset. And in that, it's fantastic. And I absolutely align with that. And we tend not to actually think about ourselves in as much as we need to think about, where do I need to develop? Where do I need to go? Where do I actually want to go? And on top of that, when you don't have a clear action plan, if you don't know your vision, you don't have a plan, there's a true correlation. No vision, you have confusion about where you're going. No action plan, you start and stop because you don't know what actions that you should be taking. So there's not a plan in place and it requires thought. So start taking intentional actions. Create 3 overarching goals. So new job, enhance your communication skills, create your personal brand. Let's just use those as the top 3. Define how you'll measure each success of each of these goals. So new job obviously means a new job success can say, measuring is saying, I'm in a new organization or I'm in a new role. So define what is right for you. Enhancing your communication skills. Are you able to communicate with impact? Have you progressed from a 3 to a 6? Measure that. Let's make sure it's very measurable. And then every day, create 6 prescriptive actions that will move you toward achieving the first milestone. Identify companies that align with your career goals. Reconnect with one person a day. Read 5 pages of crucial conversations. Everything, if you notice, these are bite-sized pieces. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're taking a huge jump, but they're taking small actions to get you to where you want to go. Okay, let's dive into relationships. People are unaware that that relationships are created within a defined system. And really, this is the defined system. So relatedness, communication, responsibility, and integrity. So relatedness, and mind you, this goes both ways, back and forth. So hence the arrows going up, down, and across, because it needs to go all the way for both people in relationship. Relatedness looks like, do you know what they like their personal hobbies? Do they golf? Do they have a family? Do they have kids? Are their kids in sports? Do they enjoy reading historical novels? So if you can hone in on different areas to relate to someone on, that builds a foundation. Then the communication piece, it's not just communicating to someone, it's actually listening to somebody as well. And it's the vice versa, it's back and forth. Responsible. Are you responsible? If you make a mistake, are you taking ownership of that mistake? Are you truly diving in and saying, I am so sorry, I made a mistake, and this is what I'll do moving forward? Are you acknowledging that other person? Are you responsible for your relationship? And then finally, integrity. And this is known to be the quote unquote dirty word in coaching, and people look at it so negatively. But if you really boil down your intention, speaking, and actions all aligned, that's what integrity means. So you're able to really distinguish if you're having a breakdown in relationship with someone, look in integrity. Is it the intention, speaking, or actions that really is the breakdown? and then go out there and take actions to repair it. But this framework gives you a place to actually start building relationships faster. So you're not trying to just go out there and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And truly, when we look at existing relationships, a lot of times existing relationships, we don't leverage, we don't stay into contact, we don't nurture those existing relationships until we actually need something from them. And really, then they're not part of your network yet. So nurturing your existing relationships is just as important as building new relationships. And this creates your entire network that you can leverage as you're going out and you're exploring different career opportunities, or if you want to be promoted, you start having very different conversations with people because of this. And then finally, data and metrics. So I know I mentioned this earlier, data and metrics, big fan. So we go through, we assess, we plan, we do, we review. Everything is measurable. What by when? When are you going to take the action? What are you going to do? And by when will you do it? And how successful was that action? If that action wasn't successful, then we pivot. This is where the assess. Then we replan. And so we can start taking different actions that will create the result that we're after. And this, finally, this is my last success story that I'll share with you, is one of my clients, Ramona. She came to me so she was working for an organization. She chose out. The organization didn't align with her. She had put her medical and her health on the back burner because she was working 80 hours a week. And it came to a pivotal point for her. She didn't align with the organization, and she knew that she needed to start taking care of herself. And that was extremely important. So she had a decision to make. What do I want to do in my career? How do I want to do it? What do I want it to look like? Working with me, she was able to really land her new career, and she was able to blend both her passion and her sales expertise into one. And she was the SVP of sales at an organization that blended both of those. And the culture of the organization was magnificent. On top of that, she created intentional relationships with C-suite, so much so that she was promoted within a year of being there to the president of North America. So she's done an amazing work in really continuing to build, foster, and enhance her relationships, all while ensuring she's taking care of her health and integrating her health into her day-to-day practice. All right, so how many of you would love to create a career and move to the next level? I'm guessing everybody would love this. But ultimately, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Now would be the time. All right, if nobody has any questions, I will not take up your time. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Whether here's my email, michelle@michellelcox.com. Feel free to go out and book a call. My website is www.michellelcox.com. But feel free to reach out to me, and I look forward to connecting with you all further. Thank you all.
Thanks, Michelle. Thank you.
Recording stopped.
A lot of energy. Okay. A lot of energy.